Welcome one and all to 2026. First show of the year. And I know the year's new, but I think so far, I think it's better than 2025. I think there's been very few absolute disasters. Overall, A grade for the year. Brett Erlich joins us, first guest of 2026. How's it going, Brett?
Well, I hope it doesn't mean anything. I hope I'm not some kind of harbinger, omen type thing. But I'm glad to be here, John. It is always an honor to be on this show with you. We've been doing this for 29 straight years, every single day, and it's just been me and John. The time flies.
It does. It hasn't technically been 29 years. It feels kind of like 29 years, but anyway, look, I was being a little sarcastic with 2026, but so far, I feel pretty good about 2026, and very little of it really has to do with politics. We're gonna start off with some positive stuff about Zohran Mamdani. Like we do have some positive news, and we're gonna do garbage people. Oh, in the aftermath, we're gonna do our garbage people of the week. We had previously done our garbage people of the year, but what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go over 2025, the stats. Who was chosen the most? Who got the most votes? Who did Brett tend to choose? Who did I tend to choose? I thought that's pretty interesting. And producer Mike dug through all of the data from last year and put that together. So that's great. But anyway, as we launch this, let me just tell you why I think so positive. So this weekend, Brett and I, we're playing golf, buddy. That just sustains me through the week, even though it looks like it's gonna be in a tsunami. And then I'm coming off of, and this is where Brett gets to like weigh in. I don't think he watches it or whatever, but Stranger Things finished.
Thank God.
And they stuck the landing. It was such a good finale. I saw it in a theater. I loved it. And just so often life just doesn't give you what you want at the end on something you love, but they stuck the landing. And I think it's one of my favorite shows of all time. Like maybe top 5 actually.
It's an excellent show. For me, it's in that category of shows I stopped watching but have no good reason. I enjoyed the mall one. And I never checked in after that. David Harbour is in the no zone or whatever it is. He's out at sea, I guess. I have no idea. But I assume that the last scene is Kate Bush being like, "Welcome to the top of the hill. And as your deal with God, here's everlasting life."
You know a lot about that song. You should probably watch season 4 so you'll understand the significance of that song actually. But anyway, maybe we'll talk more in the breaks about that or about golf. But we just have so much to talk about. And we definitely will be talking about golf in our members hangout, which has been branded Golf Talk. We're not actually sponsored by anyone. It's just when we talk about it. So for our members, we're gonna be doing an actual breakdown of how much golf Trump played this year, how much it costs, how it compares to past years. These numbers are out of control.
John and I are playing in Los Angeles this weekend, some undisclosed location, but it might rain. So I have purchased, I believe it's called sulfur yellow waterproof pants.
Sulfur yellow?
That's the color of them, is sulfur yellow. I cannot wait. I don't think I'll need them, but I thought about buying them and they were $29. So I bought them for $29. I'm pretty excited.
Brett, we are so alike. I also bought new pants for this golf. They're not sulfur yellow though. Although if I can replace them in time, I will. Anyway, we're gonna lose our producers if we don't get to the politics soon, let alone the audience. They're already gone. So anyway, we're gonna jump into that now. Hit the like button, share the stream, get yourself a Blue Apron gift card if you send in your super chats, all that stuff. Let's jump into the news.
In writing this address, I have been told that this is the occasion to reset expectations. That I should use this opportunity to encourage the people of New York to ask for little and expect even less. I will do no such thing. The only expectation I seek to reset is that of small expectations.
That's pretty good. That's shades of Obama there, I think, a little bit rhetorically. But Zohran Mamdani obviously being sworn in there. He is now the mayor, hits the ground running, both rhetorically, but also in terms of his initial actions, which we'll talk about. But it looked like a great event. I'm very jealous of everyone that got to be there. AOC spoke. I know Emma Vigeland was in the crowd there. Oh, I'm jealous. But I liked I like the way he started that off. And as we're gonna get into what he's doing. We'll also talk about how right-wingers have responded. Let's just acknowledge how much work a right-winger has to do to pretend that that's terrifying. Like that, oh no, he's setting expectations high. What a terrorist. But anyway, let's get into a little bit more of the speech before we break down his first actions.
We will answer to all New Yorkers, not to any billionaire or oligarch who thinks they can buy our democracy. We will govern without shame and insecurity, making no apology for what we believe. I was elected as a democratic socialist, and I will govern as a democratic socialist. The cost of childcare will no longer discourage young adults from starting a family, because we will deliver universal childcare for the many by taxing the wealthiest few. Thank you to the two titans who, as an assembly member, I've had the privilege of being represented by in Congress, Nidia Velázquez and our incredible opening speaker, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. You have paved the way for this moment. Thank you to the man whose leadership I seek most to emulate, who I am so grateful to be sworn in by today, Senator Bernie Sanders.
I'm like legit mad that I wasn't there, actually. That looks awesome. I love Bernie's there. He is so bundled up. He looks like a Christmas, like a stuffed bear. He's so bundled up. But anyway, yeah, so great people, obviously great influences on him. I love that he's saying he's not gonna back down. I mean, that very much remains to be seen. Like, he's a human, so we have to actually watch and see. But here are the initial things that he did. He signed 5 executive orders on day 1. The first repealed all executive orders issued by former Mayor Eric Adams following the day that Adams was federally indicted. And look, we reported on that whole process as it was going on. Super suspicious, a lot of the stuff around the indictment and Trump's involvement in all of that. So I sort of understand what he's doing. I don't love the total normalization of just when you come in, you reverse all the things the previous person did, but we do live in wild times and sometimes that is actually necessary. Let's see, the second appoints his 5 deputy mayors. And then the other 3 have to do with housing. So right off the bat, that's one of the big things that he focused on in his campaign. So we'll get to some of the specifics of that. But Brett, first, what do you think about the little speech there, the imagery, the crowd? What do you make of it?
I want everyone to pay attention to how he frames his arguments, his outreach, and his addressing of his own side. He does so in a way that this is that few people do. It was very refreshing to watch him give his speech and see a talented politician. It is very rare that I, as someone on the left, can turn on the TV and see a left of center politician be talented at the job. And that, I think that's jumped out to me. Also seeing Susan Sarandon and John Turturro together as friends, hanging out together, reminds me I need to watch Bull Durham and Brain Donors for those of you who want to find a Zucker movie you didn't know about, the airplane people. Brain Donors is amazing. It's a remake of a Marx Brothers movie starring John Turturro. But on top of that, like the way that he said, don't worry, I'm going to do the things that people who liked me wanted me to do. That doesn't happen. But he also didn't sacrifice the beat in the speech where he brings us all together and says, I'm gonna govern for everybody. And what he's doing is the stuff that I like to try, I think we all should try to do, which is find the way to say your point in a way that if you do wanna get stuff done, just kind of incidentally unites people. It doesn't say, hey, you guys are idiots, you guys are trash. It's like, I won. And I don't need to rub it in, and I'm moving on, and we're going to still do the things that will benefit you too, but you don't, if you opposed me, feel like you have to sacrifice who you are as a person in order to get on board. I'm not gonna make a thing of it, let's keep going.
Yeah, there's sort of another sort of angle of that is, I saw going around, I forget exactly which newspaper it was that was talking about, they were analyzing how he had aligned himself with a couple different unions. And the writer at, I don't know if it was the New York Times or whatever, but they were like, why is he working with these unions? The unions didn't endorse him.
Exactly.
It's like, but well, first of all, maybe he'd like them to in the future, but also because he actually does like represent, well, first of all, he's supposed to represent them, but he also does actually represent them. It shouldn't be, so you're saying, would it be better if he was just like, no, screw you, you didn't give me what I want. We've already got Trump to do that. We don't need that on every level of government. I like that he, like, it's the platform is not just a thing to get him in so that he can just sit there for 4 years. He actually means it, and I like that. So anyway, here's a few of the things that he did in his other executive orders. So announced 2 new task forces, lift the land inventory fast track and speed, streamlining procedures to expedite equitable development, aimed at speeding up home construction, including development on city-owned land by July 1st. He also appointed a housing advocate, Sia Weaver, to lead the restored office to protect tenants. So I'm glad that he actually wants to build, more housing. Trump like sort of used that issue a little bit when he was running. But then like he comes in, he puts tariffs on Canada, wrecks the price of wood, that's gonna harm construction. And it was also recently been saying, why would I want more houses to be built? That would hurt the equity of homeowners. So well, yeah, potentially, but we desperately need housing for the people who don't already have homes. So Trump didn't actually mean it, and he's not pursuing any policies that will help nationwide in that issue. Obviously, Mamdani controls a far smaller amount of land, but he said he was gonna help with housing, he's trying to do that, including by going after bad landlords and all that. We don't have time to dive into all the details of it, and it's a little bit specific to New York, but he is actually doing what he said he would do. Any other fast points about that before we move on to the reaction?
No, go for it.
Okay, well, let's do that actually. Let's jump into some of the people who were not as happy as Bernie Sanders or Susan Sarandon. Let's jump into this.
How long these communities have existed as distinct from one another. We will draw this city closer together. We will replace the frigidity of rugged individualism with the warmth of collectivism. If our campaign demonstrated that the people of New York yearn for solidarity, then let this government foster it. Because no matter what you eat, how you pray, or where you come from, the words that most define us are the 2 we all share: New Yorkers.
That's yes, that's what a politician should be saying. That's what they should aim to be like and sound like and to represent. And I think a lot of New Yorkers, you can look at Zohran Mamdani's popularity. He is wildly popular right now. We'll see how it is in 6 months, a year, 4 years, whatever, but very, very popular. Now there are those who don't want him to be popular, and they want you to believe that they believe he represents some sort of Cthulian like threat to New York and perhaps to America. And they certainly have their work cut out for them, considering what he's actually proposing to do and the way he actually communicates around it. They want him to be a caricature. They want him to be like some sort of obvious outsider or something. He's not, but they're gonna pretend anyways because they're being paid to do so. So over on Twitter, people are freaking out. Lydia says, the warmth of collectivism, that sounds rather chilling actually. Okay. Mark Walker says, right out of Joseph Stalin's 1928 playbook, forcing collectivism on the Russian people, taking away the individual's right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Property. I love that happiness to him just means the property.
That was the original term they used before they changed it to happiness when they were writing it.
Yes, exactly. So is communism in its purest form America's greatest threat now lies within? Does that, Mark? Do you think that's what he means? No, and I'm not saying that rhetorically. I mean literally. Do you think that's what he means? Pretend that, yeah, go on Twitter and pretend that you think that's what he means. Yep, there's not gonna be any right to life or liberty or pursuit of happiness because he said, rather than everybody being left on their own, we're gonna come together and make New York stronger together. He means not just communism in some loose 2025 Fox News, we don't really know what it means, but we're gonna imply that Joe Biden's a communist way. It's communism in its purest form. That's what he means. Is that what Zohran Mamdani said in his speech? That no private ownership of property anymore, it's all gonna be collectively? Did he say, I missed that part. Maybe they cut it off for time on YouTube or something. And Megyn Kelly says, no, actually, we are Americans and we don't believe in that S. Well, first of all, Megyn, can I call you Megyn? They voted for him, so they at least do believe in that stuff. And also, he's an American, Megyn. Please tell me why you think he's not an American. I mean, he's literally an American. He's a citizen. You're implying that there's some other important distinguishing factor that means he doesn't get to be an American. Please tell me more about that. So anyway, all this is nonsense. All of it is disgusting. Tommy Tuberville, I think, can often be relied on to be the worst. He replied to all of this. The fact that Mamdani is going to use the Quran at his swearing in, because he's a Muslim and that's how it works, he says the enemy is inside the gates. But because he's a Muslim, you know that there are millions of Muslims in America. Like he said far worse stuff. He said recently on Twitter, Islam is not a religion, it's a cult, and it's here to conquer. And you can just say this stuff about some religions, but not others. Brett, what do you make of the response?
I just love being anti-collectivism, then going to church where your pastor calls you his flock. All those individual sheep out there, all those wildly individualist parts of a flock of sheep. This is stupid. And also, like, you're mad at you meant life, liberty, and the pursuit of property. That's a singular, by the way. It's the problem that Zohran Mamdani has is that there are very few individuals who are able to afford property, and then they buy a bunch of properties. And then they make it hard for other people to do that. And explicitly he's gonna do a rent freeze, sure. But like, you're fine if you're a landlord, I'm sorry, you're fine. But then also they're gonna build more housing so more people can pursue it. Right now, very few individuals have the means by which to even start playing this game. And the movement is actually people that are, and this is the thing, way, 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 way richer than most people. And that is whom Mamdani chose as his enemy. And that's a very important thing in politics. If you're gonna talk some crap, if you're gonna attack someone, it better be the right enemy, i.e. pick your battles. And so Zohran Mamdani's only person he attacked in this whole speech was not Donald Trump, was not immigrants, was only the super wealthy.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's pissing all these people off, not the fact that he believes in collectivism or this nonsense that he's gonna turn it into a purely communist commune. You can't do that. There's so many people. And also, what a safe sandbox for this, because it's not like that guy is legally allowed to be president anyway.
Exactly.
There's a inversion layer in the atmosphere that keeps the clouds from going up to the sun, you know.
I think I try not to be too bold in my predictions, but I don't think New York's gonna become communist.
It might get worse, dude. It might get worse. And this is a thing that happens, you know, like it might get worse. But I think Zohran's talented enough at how he frames the debate that he's gonna give himself out. Like the way that he talked about crime was, we're gonna do a community task force or whatever it calls it, so that the police can do the job they signed up for and keep us safe.
Yeah,
there's gonna be a community service situation, and there's going to be a police force for the people that are police to do police stuff.
Yeah. I think what I like about him is I think he actually wants to achieve the goals that he says. Whether the way he says he'll do them works, I think if it doesn't, I think he will change, because I think he actually wants there to be more housing. As I laid out before, I don't think Trump does, if that means people who own housing right now, it'll be worth a little bit less or whatever. I think maintaining the economic dominance of those who rule America is Trump's actual goal, and the vast majority, the people. Megyn Kelly doesn't think it's going to be communist. Megyn Kelly's paid by billionaires to stop people from Zohran Mamdani from getting into power, because it's not because she thinks he'll fail. It's because she worries that he will succeed and there will be more housing made available. They're not interested in that. They're not interested in any of that. So you're either being paid to defend the billionaire class, or some, not enough to win a national election, have been so propagandized to, they actually think billionaires are better than them, morally superior, harder workers, whatever. And so they will allow billionaires to F them over. And that's some of the regular blue checks on Twitter. I think it's pathetic because they're not even getting paid to advocate for billionaire interests. But I think that's what's going on.
But there are the ridiculousness of Megyn Kelly's argument is that you're saying that real estate's ever going to be cheap in New York. The only thing that drives down real estate prices in New York City is crime, is decay. That's what's going to happen. It's not building more houses so more people can afford them. It's literally just crime.
Mm-hmm.
And you might get your wish for that. And that's kind of like, you can focus on that, but don't focus on the building more housing thing. There's just the housing scarcity. And everyone who lives in New York who makes a normal amount of money knows that people like Megyn Kelly those are problems that no one's ever gonna have.
Yeah. Well, we will certainly be following the term. We'll have more to say about it. I love your comment about the flock. It's super. Also, it's like, how dare you speak out against individualism? And also, you have to have the exact same religion as me and the exact same politics as me.
Dude, I love when people argue over whose religion is right.
I know.
It's so funny. It's like, it really is, especially with Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, all religions, which I love. It's like, I like you, I like this part. I like Harry Potter 1 and 2, but 3 and 4, 5, 6, I don't like those. Those are bad.
Mm-hmm.
And this one's like, this one, Latter-day Saints, I'm sorry, but that's like the one James Bond movie that wasn't produced by the Broccolis, so I'm out on that.
It does feel like, yeah. I'm not nearly as much of like a whole atheist as I was 20 years ago, but I still, in this sort of situation, I feel like, you guys realize how you have so much in common. You're ridiculous in a lot of the same ways. I just feel
so
mentally freed up outside of it. But anyway, I want to focus not on positivity, but on the hate. The hate. No, we got to do this really fast, I think. Like 4 minutes. 4 minutes. Give me 4 minutes. It's gonna be fun. No, we can do it. Let's jump into more hate. Of all of the parties I don't want to go to, and it's all of them, that's the party I least want to go to, with Stephen Miller, who is utterly incapable of happiness. More than, like, he can have a brief flare up, like when he sees a family being broken up or something. He gets a little bit happy, he gets like 25% chub, but that's as far as it goes for him in terms of ability to have satisfaction in his life. Kristi Noem, I think, is having fun because she just wants to be a socialite. She just wants to be a cosplayer on Instagram and a socialite. That's all she wants. So she seems to be having fun. But there was a turtle on that stage, right? They were not just doing Ice Ice Baby. They were doing Ninja Turtles 2.
Yeah.
What is going on? Anyway, that's not what this story is about, Brett. But this video was given to me by my producers, and I just don't understand. Why was there a turtle there?
Because they're so stupid, they don't understand that if they gotta have a turtle and do a Vanilla Ice reference, you gotta sing ninja rap. Ninja rap.
Obviously, I'm very confused. But anyway,
yeah.
That's Kristi Noem, that's Stephen Miller. Those are your two warriors stopping the infidels from invading. Like, just remember that, by the way. And when you see all the failures of ICE and DHS and all that, just remember these are the people that are in charge of that. That might be why it's failing, and it is failing. It's even failing in their stated goals. Donald Trump has these utterly deranged targets for daily deportations, which are impossible because they're based on absolutely fantastical ideas of how many migrants there are in America and how many of them are criminals and all of that stuff. So that's all failing, and it has to fail just by design, by the numbers. But there is something they can succeed on, which is just posting white supremacist memes on Twitter. They can do that all day long, and they do. So this is on the official DHS account. The peace of a nation no longer besieged by the third world. And a bit of art with the words, America after 100 million deportations. If you just deport 100 million people, you can drive an old ass car right onto the beach and be there before that tsunami hits you or something. I don't really understand. And so some people have a problem, Brett, with that piece of art. You want to jump in super fast?
Yeah, it looks like Mexico. The only people I know who own that car are vatos. Like, they're in a lowrider group, they have hydraulics. And that looks like Mexico.
Yeah, there are palm trees there. So you're telling me you do want to live in California, right?
That's all they want, dude. You want to live in California?
Come here.
In Los Angeles?
Yeah, like I could do that. You guys are implying you don't want to, but you do want to. But anyway, that piece of art is by Hiroshi Nagai, who very much did not give them any permission and does not want them to use the art. So again, this is like all their stuff. They steal Theo Von stuff. They steal Selena Gomez stuff. They steal Pokemon. Conservatives want art desperately because they know that art is cool, but they can't create it themselves. So they either steal it and don't credit the people who made it, or they jump into AI because then they don't have to actually learn or anything. And so the bigger issue, of course, is the fact that we're being besieged by the third world. Obviously, that's just grotesque, xenophobic, Nazi-esque language. We're not being besieged. Some people come to this country because they think their life would be better, and we know that we will be made stronger by waves of immigration, as we always have. But no, this one's too brown. It's invaders, actually. And we should get rid of 100 million people, which obviously there are not 100 million migrants, obviously. And so Pew says there's probably about 14 million. So you can't get to your 100 million by deporting all the undocumented migrants. So what do they mean when they say 100 million? Well, if you included the 38 million who have actual legal status, including naturalized citizens, which more and more Republicans do want to do, because they have to believe they're better than other people. That's the only thing that can distract them from the fact that their economic situation is bad and getting worse. But even that leaves you 48 million short of the number. So I guess you got to start finding some other groups to deport that are full-on citizens born here in America, the same as anyone else, but they're not, what's the word, heritage Americans? That new thing where it's like a one-drop thing for the new alt-right or whatever. And so I don't know what they're supposed to mean. Obviously, it's everything they do is just racism and trolling. So it's a combination of the two things, Brett, but what do you make of it?
I think it's amazing. I love the Ice Baby because I do want to now party with Kristi Noem.
You already did.
I didn't. She's not. This is gonna sound terrible, but she's not like overtly waspy enough to like hit that weird kink of mine. But that one right there, yeah, I'm down with it, dude. Because she goes like this. She's probably got the fire dance where her hands are fire, and she's like this. And she's like duck facing. I mean, disgusting. I have no like. I also know that Steve Miller is on whatever of those weird things that Hitler was taking toward the end, where he was like on amphetamine, like he was on some weird designer drug. But this is. I just want everyone to know that you weren't invited to that party.
Yeah,
none of us were invited to that party. So this imagery they're trying to sell you about like how empty the beach is gonna be for your lowrider, and this idea that your life is going to turn into a Mar-a-Lago experience. No, they don't want you there. This is a fun play game for them so that they can go to the party and you can't.
Yeah.
Like, and it's a game. They're not serious about it. They hired a Ninja Turtle.
Yeah, which by the way, those were imported from Japan canonically, I believe. Actually, like they're not native. Or were they? No, just the ooze was. I don't remember.
Ooze. I don't remember where the ooze was from. But yes, it depends on where in the movies.
Comic versus movie. Yeah.
In the movies, in the TV show, it's who you interacted with last. You turn into that, and so that's people. But in the movie and the comics, I think it was just that the ooze makes you big.
Yeah,
and talk.
Let me just say, this will be my final point. So we have to get rid of these migrants because they're all criminals, right? Even though they're not, and even though being here without proper documentation is literally not a crime, it's a civil violation of a statute. The intern who stole this artwork without permission, without attribution, and they're refusing to take it down despite the artist telling you are violating my copyright or whatever, arguably have committed a greater crime than the migrants they're deporting. I just wanna make that clear. And they've done it many times already. Okay, we gotta take a break. Lots more to get to after this.
Rawr. It was 8 minutes.
Yeah, sorry about that. They all desperately want to be cool. My God, do they want to be cool? But you cannot actually buy that. You can't. Stephen Miller has Stephen Miller ever been comfortable? I don't think I've never seen him look comfortable.
He's
anywhere.
so evil.
He's like just evil. And I think he knows that. I think he knows it. You know, they say every villain thinks they're the hero of the story. No, I think he knows he's the villain. I think he likes it. No, you disagree?
No, I agree with you. He loves it. He knows he's the villain. That's the only time he's feeling comfortable is when he's feeling bad. And that's the thing is they know they're annoying. That's the only way he and incels and all of them, they want you to pay attention to them. But they tried being good at some point or another. But you didn't give them attention because they are also incidentally horrible on the inside. They feel entitled. They don't see that part of them. So that's how they're ignorant to them being good people.
Yeah.
They think they are righteous in annoying you, but they know they're annoying you because at least you're reacting to that in being the worst thing. And that really is the only thing that I can't solve about social media. Is because if it's literally just interacting with something helps it. Telling it it's stupid. Talking writing whatever they fact checking them is an interaction.
It is, yeah. No, you're totally right. I think it's difficult for us because of the job that we have, but I think people are wising up to the fact that there are more reasons to not be on social media than ever before, and I think it's easier. I think that it's all gotten really bad. I think that the benefits are we need a new way. Like we got to get rid of all this, set it all on fire, and start over again like it used. Social media didn't used to be like this. It was actually you connecting with actual people that you know and like, and not just everything being artificial and everything being algorithmic and everything being designed to sell you crap and ruin your day. And it's been like that for a while. I'm not saying that's super new, but it is getting so much worse all the time. What is the point of any of this? You know, I'm super excited about the Stranger Things finale, obviously. I go on Reddit, all I see is haters hating, and that's their whole life, either for engagement or just because that's what they have become because of the way social media is. They think that is what community is you just bitching about something that you don't like and trying to ruin people's day. And why would you see any of that? What's the point of absorbing 5 minutes of that? It's so stupid. It's so pointless. Our lives are already hard enough. Why are we beaming anger into our eyes for hours a day? I don't understand it. I'm not saying you had to like the finale or whatever. I am saying that you're a bad person if you did. No, I'm joking. I am saying I feel bad for you because wouldn't it be better to enjoy something than to not? But anyway, yeah, goddamn, social media sucks. Anyway, we have some comments and very little time to get to them. Late Bloomer did say, come on, Bernie's an old man. Cold is really cold to us elders, but I loved his whole speech and I love Zohran's speech. No, I understand why he's bundled up and I want him to be bundled up. I don't want
everyone was freezing.
Exactly, I'm sure it was super cold. Yes. Okay, Galfar is saying good social media is on Discord. Again, that's a different sort of thing. It's not algorithmic. You choose to, we're out of time.
Galfar of the Discord.
Okay, we're gonna have to be quick on this because I've put us way behind. Let's jump into this.
My favorite word is tariff. True, but then I got a lot of heat from the fake news. Look at all of them back there. I took a lot of heat. I got up early on. I said my favorite is turning out, tariffs are bringing us hundreds of billions of dollars. I just helped our farmers out because they're starting to do really well.
Okay, so there's a lot of weirdness there. The favorite word being a tariff, it's a tax on you again. And more Republicans know that. A lot of people who were there for that now understand it, and that's bad for him. We're bringing in hundreds of billions of dollars. Sometimes he says trillions. Weird that it varies so much. And then I just helped out our farmers because they're starting to do so well. You gave a massive multi-billion-dollar bailout to the farmers who were desperate for help because they were doing so well. That's the exact opposite of the truth. No, you gave them $12 billion because you needed to, because you wrecked their businesses. And not just, like we focus a lot on the fact that the products we buy are more expensive than they should be because of his tariffs, because of his taxes. But also the farmers are screwed over because, as I said, I'm not a genius or anything, but I understood that when you put tariffs on other countries, they put tariffs on you. Farmers can't sell their products overseas, particularly soybeans. And that has ruined them. And so he decided to give $12 billion to them. It's like 1/3 of what they need to be made whole, so they're still screwed. But it isn't just the farmers that are hurting because of Donald Trump's favorite word. That was supposed to help our businesses, right? Sure, your products you buy from overseas might be a little bit more expensive, but that helps American businesses, but it isn't. We have had, apparently, not just big companies like Costco sued the administration for refunds for the tariffs. More than 700 US businesses filed for bankruptcy in 2025. That is the highest number since 2010, and it's a 14% increase from the previous year. More companies declared bankruptcy last year, or in this last year, than did in the depths of the pandemic. That is how bad it is. And some of them are pretty significant. Now, overall, the first half of the year saw 17 significant bankruptcies involving businesses with assets over $1 billion. You have Rite Aid, you have 23andMe, Hooters, I'm sure Brett will have thoughts about that. Nikola, Spirit Airlines, Party City. Now look, there's a lot of reasons companies might be declaring bankruptcy. A lot of them get bought out by venture capital, utterly ruined. They take the good stuff out, they just wreck the businesses. But I would also point out, Donald Trump does not have a problem with that. And he will work to advance the interests of the people doing that predatory vulture capitalism. But we also have a lot of these businesses just shutting down. And the 17 with over $1 billion in assets could soon be 18. It looks like Saks Fifth Avenue, which Donald Trump probably has actually shopped at that place. They also apparently are going to be declaring bankruptcy. So this was supposed to produce a new golden age. Doesn't really seem like it's working out that way for either consumers, Brett, or for corporations. What do you think?
The worst part about trying to argue with Trump and his supporters is they don't understand that Trump was always already just going to blame someone for bad stuff and claim credit for any semblance of good stuff. And if there is no good stuff happening, he'll make it up and pretend he made the good thing that didn't happen. Yeah. That's literally how he operates. So also the thing is, like, everything he's talking about doing is him screwing something up and then doing a very Democrat thing to fix it.
Yeah.
Soybeans, we sell them. A lot of just inertia kept the black swan moment of soybean business moving to Brazil from happening. Like that was just inertia. And now there's a giant tariff policy where all of the people who don't want to have to change what they're doing are just like, all right, fine. Let's find a different alliance globally. That's it. Or at least you're risking that ultimately happening in this time that I think the left probably doesn't give. The left doesn't give enough credit to like a concept of negotiation, because typically we know nothing about business, right? But I just don't think that Trump is good at this stuff either. He's saying he's a master negotiator, but if we want to talk about bankruptcies, yes, Spirit Airlines, Hooters, God rest its soul, 23andMe. But like Donald Trump is the king of bankruptcies. That's what he does.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing an impression of Trump going belly up. And you scrub his little belly.
Oh, God. No, I was really hoping you'd focus more on the Hooters part than that we'd get to Trump's belly.
You're such a perv now.
What?
You said 20% chub earlier in the show. I've been the clean one.
I've been trying. Sometimes I feel like if I do it first, it'll ward you off. Like it's almost like it's like a vaccine, honestly. I inject a little bit of disease into the show and that cleans it up. There's an immune response. And also nanochips that I got from Bill Gates. Anyway, okay, we are getting on. We are going to talk about Donald Trump's belly, but on the other side of this next break. Let's take our second break. We'll come back. We'll talk about some fun stuff after this.
Amazing.
I want to save, we didn't get to that other part of the economy. I want to save that for Monday because I think it's good. Okay, let's read a few comments. Randy Fine ate my handle, gifted 10 memberships. Thank you so much for that. Very nice of you. Let's see, Jay Carr, member for 59 months, says, asking for a friend, is it crazy to think the bodies washing up in Houston are what's left of the migrants Stephen Nosferatu Miller is feeding on? I had not heard of bodies washing up in Houston, so I don't know. That sounds pretty rough. Interestingly, I just watched over, I'm gonna say the weekend. We're in such weird times with the days off. Operation Mincemeat, Brett, I don't know if you watched that.
What is that?
So you know Tom from Succession?
Yeah.
He's in it. It's of Operation Mincemeat was a British thing in World War II where they wanted to deposit a body with fake war plans of where they're gonna invade.
Yeah, I heard about it.
It's fascinating. I hadn't really known about that operation, but it was a cool movie actually. And I love Tom from Succession. He has a real name too, but I love him. I think he's a great actor. Anyway, okay, with that said, Alex K in a super chat says, looking forward to kicking off 2026 with John and Brett. Working blue. If you know what you know. If you know, you know. Yeah.
Matthew McFadden.
We sometimes do. CD Northstock Dad with a super chat saying, part 1. In Ninja Turtle universe, Master Splinter, a 5-foot talking rat, his human owner, and I think that's supposed to be Shredder, are both Japanese ninjas. Yeah, totally. But again,
no, mimicking his movements from my cage.
That first Ninja Turtles movie is so good, man.
The idea is, by the way, the lore is that while he was a rat,
yes,
before the ooze, he had the mental capacity to mimic his movements from my cage.
So little.
Elias Koteas, when they randomly switch Aprils between the two.
Oh yeah.
Kino.
There's look, just there. I don't know the title of the video, but there is a video essay on YouTube that really dives into the making of that movie and why it's so, like, if you haven't watched it in a long time, you may not realize it is tonally one of the most fascinating superhero movies ever. It's dark and kind of it's like the, I don't know, it's very wet. Yeah, no, but also it's like a little bit depressing and it's just emotionally complex in a way.
Sam Rockwell's in it.
Sam Rockwell is briefly in it. It's really good. Anyway, I want to watch that again. That was one of the movies that I would come home from school and put it on, and I probably did that 300 times. I love that movie. Anyway.
A couple throw pillows, a TV news reporter. What do you think? I lost the sign, but I can get it back. Raphael.
Movie is so good. Why don't they make movies like that anymore?
You put anchovies on this pizza, you're in big trouble, okay?
Okay, I'm not gonna be able to quote it to the extent that you are. It's been too long, but I did love it, and I still remember on the VHS we had the commercial that played beforehand with the iconic song. Anyway,
strikes on the batter, some runners are on.
That is the best commercial that's ever been made. That Pizza Hut commercial. Anyway,
out where the dandelions grow.
So good. Anyway, no wonder I like Stranger Things. I have nostalgia for that stuff. Anyway,
Pizza Hut.
Pizza Dude's got 30 seconds.
Pizza Dude's got 30 seconds.
Oh my God, I just want to go back to the 80s. I want to go back to
122 and an eighth? Come on, couldn't find the place.
I'm rewatching that today, actually. I think that's what's gonna happen. My daughter better buckle up because we're watching Ninja Turtles. And she better have the right favorite turtle.
Let me just say potential to scar her for life because those things are terrifying. I lost the sign.
We don't spread enough wisdom, I think. So let's fix that. The mighty decoy is going to give us an assist. Wise man once say, forgiveness is divine, but never pay full price for late pizza. I think that's a lesson that we all should learn. Anyway, if you're listening to the podcast, you have no idea why we're saying that quote. But anyway, we're gonna get back to the news, but first I wanna remind you of a partnership TYT is doing with Noble Mobile, the only wireless plan that pays you to use your phone less. You can do that with their Noble plan. It's $50 a month for unlimited data, and any data you don't use at the end of the month gets credited back to your account as cash back. People who switch to Noble say they save on average $500 to $1,000 a year on their phone bill. And if that sounds good to you or you'd like more information, you can go to tyt.com/switch or scan the QR code on the screen right now. The chat is full of quotes from Ninja Turtles. Our job here is done. Anyway, let's get into the news, starting with this. New development in the "is Trump dying" discussion that's been going on for the last year, primarily on our channel. Trump gave an interview at the Wall Street Journal where he talked about some of the interesting decisions he's been making with his health. And he said a lot, as always. But I want to jump into him trying to get out in front of some of what he said on social media, maybe realizing he said too much. The White House doctors have just reported that I am in perfect health. That's what doctors say. They tell you you're in perfect health, especially when you're an elderly man. And that I aced for the 3rd time straight my cognitive examination. Wait, did he do it again? Did he take the dementia test again? Anyway, something which no other president or previous vice president was willing to take. He's like, he gave himself a little bit of wiggle room that JD Vance would be willing to take it. It's a dementia test, dude. Anyway, I strongly believe that anyone running for president or vice president should be mandatorily forced to take a strong, meaningful, and proven cognitive examination. I agree, and he hasn't. But honestly, I would love to just see him take the dementia test live on camera. Let's actually see it, okay? Our great country cannot be run by stupid or incompetent people. And I think the results economically, I think, are bearing that out. Yeah, it turns out we can't actually be run by stupid people. But anyway, here's what he said about in the interview. He said this about his aspirin habit. They say aspirin is good for thinning out the blood, and I don't want thick blood pouring through my heart. I want nice, thin blood pouring through my heart. Does that make sense? I think it makes sense as a prelude to invoking the 25th Amendment. Yeah, I think that whole thing right there. If Biden had talked about how he needs thin blood. So like there's this like myth that you take aspirin and it thins your blood or whatever. And that was at one point in Trump's defense kind of the advice he'd be given. But that's, first of all, that's not the advice anymore. Also, it doesn't literally thin your blood. Your blood isn't literally thinner. It's supposed to protect against clots. Maybe on a meta sense it's thinner. It doesn't change the consistency of your blood. How could it? It's this much powder, dude. And you've got this much blood. How could it possibly work that way? Except that he apparently takes more aspirin than even the prior advice had said. He says he's declined to switch to a lower dose because he's been taking it for 25 years and he says, I'm a little bit superstitious. He says he takes 325 milligrams a day. When they gave the advice way back, it was like 80, 85. So he's taking a lot of aspirin, and like some people think that might be why he's having like the bruising problems that he does. But it is very strange. And this is Dick Cheney's heart doctor who said this. Not only is there no benefit in terms of just primary prevention, trying to prevent a cardiac event by giving them aspirin, there can be a hazard, and the hazard can be bleeding, significant bleeding. So bear that in mind, Brett, the bleeding stuff. But also, he's had a lot of criticism for falling asleep in public, which is what he actually did. Here is his lie about that. He says he didn't fall asleep. I'll just close. It's very relaxing to me, closing his eyes. Sometimes they'll take a picture of me blinking, and they'll catch me with the blink. They're not catching a blink. Your eyes are shut. And the cover story he wants you to believe is that Donald Trump just closes his eyes and listens because it's relaxing. Donald Trump, who wants nothing more than to be seen as strong despite his weakness, and knows that this constantly generates negative news cycles where people talk about how sleepy and weak he is still willingly choosing to just close his eyes to relax, knowing that it will produce another news cycle like that. I'm gonna say I don't actually believe that. So look, there's more there, Brett, but what do you think about the sleep excuse? What do you think about his blood?
My favorite thing to think about is people who believe it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, thank God he explained it and I buy it. You're not even playing the game right. You're supposed to get off on the idea that we as rational human beings are engaging in argument on the merits. That is the unicorn blood you guys are supposed to be drinking. But Coincidentally, you're on Trump's side because he's taking advantage of the fact that you are so stupid.
I know.
Like I don't know what to say. I know that there's different kinds of smart. I think Trump is very brilliant in many ways. Is that enough of a olive branch to extend? But this guy is talking about how cognitively sound he is and how smart he is. Meanwhile, he's drinking bottles of aspirin.
I'm not against it. I'm not against it.
Like that's what he's doing.
I like. Look,
he's bragging about writing his name right.
Yeah.
And have you seen how he writes his name? It looks like a heart rate monitor.
I know, it's very crazy. So we have a lot to get to. I just want to end this by saying, I criticize Donald Trump all the time. I do. I just want to say, every health decision he's making, I fully support, and I don't want him to change anything. In fact, I want him to double down on everything he's doing. And after our next break, we'll have another aspect of that to talk about, perhaps debate. But first, let's jump into this.
Anybody who has been ripping off American taxpayers will be held to the fullest extent of the law as long as this president is in charge.
Yeah, I don't think that's actually going to happen. I don't think they're interested in that. She's talking about a very specific sort of fraud, the fraud they believe they have found in Minnesota among the Somali community. They found in that they sent a guy who talked about it. There's been journalism about this. There's been investigations. There have been arrests and stuff like that. But it's much more fun for the right to pretend that this is something the mainstream media has ignored when it's not. But anyway, that's fraud. And that should be talked about. The fact that Donald Trump has pardoned fraudster after fraudster after fraudster all year long, not worthy of discussion. And you shouldn't think about the fact that he's defrauded you. The fact that Elon Musk wasted all that money with Doggy, wrecked our government, and ended up the government spent more money this year. That's not fraud, apparently. But I want to remind you of some of these pardons. Donald Trump pardoned Julian Todd Chrisley, reality TV stars convicted in 2022 of fraud and tax evasion. He had a supporter, Paul Walzak, who owned and operated several healthcare companies, admitted to failing to pay the IRS more than $7 million in taxes withheld from employees' paychecks, leading to a prison term. He got a pardon after his mother, Elizabeth, attended a Mar-a-Lago dinner and paid $1 million for a ticket. So that guy was a fraud, but he's now loose because Donald Trump, who's also a fraud, engaged in a little bit of fun corruption. Trump also pardoned former New York Representative Michael Grimm after his tax fraud conviction, Darryl Strawberry, tax evasion, conviction, George Santos, a massive fraud. He's also been pardoned. There have been so many businesses and companies that he has either pardoned the executives who are just con men or taken investigations off that would have uncovered more criminality just over and over and over again. They are protecting fraudsters of their class while distracting you with supposed fraud going on in the areas they don't care as much about. Quick comment, Brett, what do you think?
I just think it's amazing. Like, these are the bad guys. If you're against fraud, corruption, you should be against Donald. That's it. And like, this is the thing that I hope they unlock in their minds, and everybody who finds himself in this weird, like, especially with like the Somali fraud, just get Somali out of there and it'll like get rid of that from the discussion. And you can still be principled. Like, they try to get us into these weird backs and forth where they're like, we're against corruption. And we're like, we're pointing out that you're not against corruption. You're against a certain kind of whatever. You just want to have the smell of anti-corruptionism on your mind. And I can point them all out. Meanwhile, they try to tell us, oh, we're going to shut down money going to childcare in America because some dude saw a Somali run racket. It's like, oh, I'll fix this for everybody. Get rid of your tribalism and just be against corruption. It's the corruption stupid.
Yeah.
If we can find corruption, like through the prosecutions that were already happening surrounding corruption and fraud, then let's just double down on that and let's back that up. And I don't think anyone is sacrificing anything by being against fraud. This is just signaling to people that they're against tax cheats. And they don't ever have to like apologize for their inconsistencies, even though they are obviously for tax cheats.
Yeah. My final point, the entire Minnesota thing is not a corruption story and it's not a fraud story. It is just an identity politics story.
Yeah.
And the reason I know that is you said just take Somalia out. If they did, they wouldn't care. You think that would have gone viral? If it was
the
Irish
senator
people
from Florida
running those,
they
wouldn't care.
The biggest Medicare fraudster in history.
Exactly.
Basically.
And they do not care about that. This is just identity politics. Okay, let's jump into one more story. It's a fast one, but it's also good news. In a major retreat, a little bit more taco, Donald Trump has decided that he's tired of losing in court, at least in one topic. And so he's gonna be pulling the National Guard out of a number of the cities that he had probably illegally and unconstitutionally deployed them to. But take a look at this message where he tries to claim, I guess, that he's happy that he's having to retreat or whatever. We are removing the National Guard from Chicago, Los Angeles, and Portland, despite the fact that crime has been greatly reduced by having these great capital P patriots in these cities, and only by that fact. Not even by that fact, because generally that's not the result, and they didn't have a lot of crime to begin with. Portland, Los Angeles, and Chicago were gone if it weren't for the federal government stepping in. Yes, Brett, our city would not exist if they hadn't had those troops. We will come back perhaps in a much different and stronger form when crime begins to soar again. He sounds like Pennywise the clown. Anyway, only a question of time. It's hard to believe that these Democrat mayors and governors, all of whom are greatly incompetent, would want us to leave, especially considering the great progress that has been made. He does not thank us for our attention to this matter, though. So it's actually a good thing. This will show how incompetent they are. But no, he's being forced out. It's because judges have done a number of different decisions against him, saying you can't deploy the National Guard to Portland, blocking the deployment to LA. The same thing has happened in Illinois. He's getting all these challenges and he's not actually supposed to be doing this, and that's kind of a problem for him. And so we're gonna focus here because we live in California. Gavin Newsom, of course, is going to be a little bit happy about this. So he retweeted a bit of news about this, saying we won in court and forced him out. Trump's rambling here is the political version of you can't fire me, I quit. Which is not bad. So credit to the intern or whatever that wrote that. Or if it's Gavin, fine, whatever. Brett, what do you make of this?
Get over yourself with your eye roll. Jesus Christ, I hate everybody. Like, and here's a real fact about people's opinion about the National Guard. I hate to say it, but it really is Chappelle's position.
What's that?
I've talked to the liberalist of liberal people in these cities who, yes, crime is worse. It's getting worse. It has gotten worse, right? And they don't want, but the thing about it is, in America, the solution can't be illegal. In an authoritarian world, the solution can be illegal. You can just do things despite the law. But in this way of solving the issues is bad. Also, like the rich people who are complaining about crime in their cities very often don't have to encounter it ever. Like, I have talked to people who at a bar in like a very nice part of town that has no homeless problem, that has no crime problem, that has none of that. And they're like, oh, it's gotten terrible. It's like, yes, because you watch the news. I'm willing to have a conversation about the way we solve crime in America by having a victim-focused policy that protects victims of crime and victims of the system. If anyone wants to have if their avatar, if their whatever, their vessel for complaining about nothing has something to do with whatever the latest thing Trump told them to complain about, like I'm not that interested in that conversation because it's not a real one.
Yeah. I'm mostly on board. I don't really care about the protecting the victims of crime thing because I'm like a leftist or whatever, and we don't care about that. But anyway, no, most of that does sound good. You made the point, by the way, like that this doesn't poll well. And what's interesting is in terms of like crime polling, what we've done stories on this. We've done lots of this. You ask people, and they're like, "Yeah, crime is getting worse." In your area, no, it's getting better. All over, they say that it's getting better where I'm at, but overall, it's getting worse.
And also, I hate to tell you,
news.
Just the real how it plays out is yes, everyone tries their thing. It doesn't work because being in a modern society, in a world where there's practicalities and theories is difficult. You try it. You're in a pocket of time where your side's trying stuff. it fails the same way the winningest football coach will have a losing season eventually. And then they get kicked out and fired and replaced with the opposite of that. And whatever that new thing is that they try, like we in Los Angeles have had Republican governors and Republican mayors and Ronald Reagan. That's just what happens. And it's very frustrating along the way, but denying that this is a cycle where it's very difficult to actually fix it is gonna drive you crazy.
Yeah.
Go touch grass.
I like that. We should all do that. Okay, we got to end this first hour of the first hour of the year, but we have the aftermath coming up. We got garbage people. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Okay, everybody, it's the aftermath. Thank you for being here. We have a lot to get to, but first, don't forget about our sponsor, Noble Mobile. Save money by using your phone less and get unlimited data for just $50 a month at tyt.com/switch. We're gonna be doing our garbage people. We've got a lot of garbage. First, though, I do see Julio says, Brett, I saw the 35th anniversary theatrical release this past summer. It was a blast. I've never seen it in theaters since I was only 10 when it came out. I wanted to see that, and I missed it when it was in theaters.
Of what?
Of Ninja Turtles. But also, I think I might have missed Dark Crystal too. But the extended Lord of the Rings are going back to theaters this year. And then I think the next year, they have produced the original cut of Star Wars, and it's gonna be in theaters. Like the original. And I gotta see that. I think it's gonna be really cool.
It's like,
but anyway,
the eventual Rose Bowlification of the movie theater. Like if college football leaves the Rose Bowl, they have to find other stuff to put in there and that's what's happening to theaters.
I'm okay with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just want to mention, we were talking about Portland. I don't follow a lot of like rewatch podcasts, but apparently the Portlandia hosts are gonna do a rewatch podcast. I'm very excited about that. I think that could be really fascinating. But anyway, okay, we got a lot of garbage people to get to. I have one or two other non-news related things I'm hoping we can talk about if we have time. But first, CD No Stock Dad sent a super chat saying a $15 super sticker if both John and Brett sing Ninja Turtles theme song. I know you both know it. I don't want to sing on the podcast.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Heroes in the Half Shell, Turtle Power.
I was ready to commit to that ending sooner than you. But anyway, don't feel obligated, CD No Stock Dad, or give what you think that rendition was worth.
Just honestly, like Raphael, John is cool but rude.
Brett, who's your favorite turtle?
Michelangelo. He's a party dude.
You would be a Michelangelo. Wait, do you know who I am?
You're freaking Donatello.
No, I don't think anybody's a Donatello. No, I thought you were gonna say Leonardo. No, I'm a Raphael. I love Raphael.
You're
probably
so
because
edgy.
of the movie. I am edgy, okay? I'm brooding.
You know who? Oh God, I know who. I don't know him personally, but the person who does the voice of Raphael is like he's in Sex and the City as like the annoying guy who dates models.
Yeah.
And if you like compare those two roles,
I really want Raphael to be in Sex and the City now. Anyway, okay, we got to do garbage people, okay? It's the end of the week. It's the end of the week, and so it's time to take out the trash. Brett, who is your first garbage person of 2026?
My first garbage person of 2026 is Joe Rogan, and I'll explain how he is very similar to like a Russian circus bear in a second. But first, here is a tweet that went out that says Joe Rogan just said the quiet part out loud, says Overton News, about Trump's war on drugs, and it completely shatters the media's narrative. Overdose deaths are collapsing nationwide, and Rogan says it's not an accident. Here's the video that is obviously gonna get debunked by me in a second. Take a look.
From the time Trump's been in office, deaths by overdose have dropped off a cliff. Look at that. Look at 2024. And leading into 2025.
Just
look
going
at
down.
These are all deaths from overdoses. I mean, that's kind of crazy. Like, look at that. From all drugs, which is the top one, look at that drop. I mean, that's crazy. So you see the peak was in 2022, or it looks like actually 2020, between 2023 and 2024. That's the peak where people are dying. And then from the time Trump's in office, it's taking a fucking sharp downturn. And why is that? Well, part of it is because they're blowing up these fucking boats that are bringing in all the drugs. And not just drugs, but drugs that are tainted with fentanyl.
So you might be wondering, what's wrong with what he's saying? Can we put up graphic 2, please? Graphic 2 is just a screen capture of what he did. If you'll see, and when he's talking about when the peak is, he acknowledges what I'm about to say as the actual way that this works. If it is true that the peak is somewhere between 2023 and 2024, it is also true that this graph stops before 2025, January of which was when Trump took office. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? It's like a circus bear where lately he's been pushing back against Trump and his immigration stuff. And it's like, oh, you're doing the tree. Oh, that's impressive. You're not acting like a bear. You're acting like something more evolved than that. But then he goes and does this. And that's like when the bear just starts eating people. What are you like? And this is what's so frustrating is like, I can't, he said this to Jamie like 4 seconds before it was on screen. So Jamie didn't have time to fact check it. But like, you are so responsible for how people think. And I know you're also just Joe Rogan, and I get it, dude. I get it.
Then
but like
stop
also
talking about politics.
You can't read a chart. How are you analyzing geopolitics? And just like right before this clip, here's an actual interaction between him and his guest. Now, aren't they kind of blowing the Ecuadorian ships up that are coming to here that are having a lot of drugs on them? Joe steps in. Yeah, Venezuela, right. And then he says, Venezuelan ships, they're just blowing them up. I don't even know. I'm not educated on stuff like that. Why are you talking about it?
Yeah.
At a certain point, there's a certain level of responsibility. This doesn't keep me up at night, but it is garbage people, which is just like, that's so garbage. It's 2025 now, not in the chart, but it's 2025 now. You've been doing this for like 15 years. Is there not a drop of humility in your approach to these things? Also, he blew up like 6 dinghies.
That saves 300,000 lives each. They believe. Yeah.
It's
Brett,
crazy. But there's people in the comments doing the thing that we're like, this is probably why you should be more responsible with your analysis, Joe. They're like, oh, finally, someone's saying it. Why don't you give him credit for what he did? There's no evidence for any of the stuff that he said so far. There's just video of blowing up dinghy. And by the way, you're so close because this was your criticism, I think, of like the Bush administration for lying to us to go to war in Iraq. But you are not so ironically taking it hook, line, and sinker when it's justifying an invasion of Venezuela.
Yeah.
John.
So I found that to be utterly enraging. Like we almost did last week, Pam Bondi just sharing the graph. But like he analyzed the graph and he wasn't just wrong. You can be wrong. He was exactly the opposite of right.
Later.
This proves it's not Trump. Biden evidently deserved credit. And you're giving Biden's credit to Trump, which they're all now gonna do. They're all gonna say, because let's assume that continues going down. And you know why we can assume that? Because it's not about the boats, because the boats weren't sunk when that happened. You know what it's probably about? I don't know. Did you notice that the numbers jumped up following the pandemic? And we're now getting away from the pandemic and the numbers are coming down? I'm not, I don't get paid hundreds of millions of dollars to do a Spotify show, but I think it might have been the pandemic that was raising those numbers actually. And so they're gonna claim credit in the same way that they like go into DC, they send the National Guard, they say crime's up, it's not. Crime's not up. And then they're like, hey, look, there's no crime. No, but it already didn't have the crime. And again, he said, Brett, he said in 2024 leading into 2025, he almost seemed to understand. And the only issue is that it does lead into 2025, but it literally doesn't contain 2025.
Right.
It ends in October of 2024. It doesn't even include Donald Trump having won the election, let alone being inaugurated, let alone blowing up the boats. And it seems crazy to me, Brett, that he is not going to and does not have to do a major retraction for that.
Pam Bondi deleted the post about this, that he's basing his whatever, I'm not gonna call it reporting. I don't actually think it's reporting, but like this is the level of dumb he's at, which is fine. But like, yeah, this is it's so stupid. It's like he's saying, oh, it was the 2024 election, so it must be 2020. Like, don't I've done that. I've patted my pocket being like, oh, I got my keys. And then I realized, oh, no, I didn't have my keys in my pocket. What was I thinking? You said 2024. You know that it was January 6th is like when insurrection time happened.
Yeah.
That's the next year. And it's not on your, it's just so like.
And then he does the pathetic thing of when he gets stuff wrong constantly. Well, I'm just a guy or whatever. Then don't talk about it. You actually don't have to talk about politics. You didn't even really seem to like to. Just talk about drugs, talk about money, talk about whatever, UFC. Just talk about that stuff. You don't have to talk about this stuff that you are not qualified to talk about. Because take it to the bank, there are millions of guys who now are gonna quote that section that you just saw positively. And they have been abused by this guy who is not qualified to be talking about what he's talking about.
John.
God, and he's getting paid so much money to be so lazy, so freaking lazy.
I feel like Patton Oswalt. He's like, I would also lose my mind if you gave me $100 million. He's doing pretty well given the fact they gave him $100 million. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's jump into this. Good garbage person. My garbage person of the week is going to be Dinesh D'Souza for doing a ridiculous 180 from trying, supposedly, to root out racism in the GOP to then posting this video.
It's so cold there, must be all this ice on my wrist. I am the captain now. Ayo, bitch, give me that tax money. On conduct fair businesses. One day if you study hard enough, you can be just like me.
Okay, so that video went on for another 15 seconds, but that right there is more of it that I could actually stomach when I initially watched it. So that's what Dinesh D'Souza put out with the caption, "Diversity is our greatest strength," sarcastically. So Dinesh D'Souza says, hey, looks like everybody really hates Somalis right now. So I'm gonna get in on that with, again, AI, because conservatives love AI, never forget that. And aren't Somalis bad and corrupt criminals? Also, not just that, aren't they ugly? Aren't they really ugly? They don't even look like humans, do they? Don't they look like some sort of like subhuman creature or aliens or something? And people say diversity is our strength. Do you like me, MAGA? Do you accept me, Dinesh D'Souza? Did I say enough racist stuff? Do I get to be in the club, the crowd? Which would be bad enough. But he literally has been pushing back recently against some of the racism, but the racism that very specifically targets people like him. Somalis, that's fine. Who cares about them? Deport all of them, kill all of them, I don't care. But he had posted things like this. Look at the abuse Vivek is getting, Vivek Ramaswamy he's referring to, for posting an innocuous photo with his boys. This is the S show that Heritage and Tucker have brought upon us. If this continues, I would not be surprised to see mass desertions of blacks, Latinos, and other minorities from the GOP. Unreal. I don't know. I think maybe some black voters might not like the stuff about the Somalis necessarily. And also, so Heritage and Tucker, they brought the anti-Indian racism, he says. And by the way, I kind of agree with him. But then what responsibility do you hold for playing into the exact same sort of nonsense, this grifting identity politics, as long as it's not about Indian people? Don't attack us, and I agree, I don't want them to be attacked. I've defended Vivek Ramaswamy specifically before. I've defended Usha Vance and her kids, mostly because JD refuses to. But he's conveniently saying, but I still want to do it because I know that I'm not going to be accepted unless I turn against other people of color. And so it's just so grotesque, man. There's a lot of great responses to it, but Brett, I'll let you jump in.
Yeah, I mean, that's the attempt. It's a smart thing to do, is to be the absolute worst. If you want a career, it's the griftopia. That's it. What's hilarious to me is like, they're saying, I mean, this is a wildly racist, horrible, strange, non-funny thing. Like it's laughed at and clapped at and guffawed at by people who have no sense of humor. What they're missing is like the cadence of that video that they made. I see all over Twitter with right wingers who are grifting off of folks that think that there's like a new dietary supplement for their balls. Like this is the like, yo, you want 200, 400, 900,000? Because I got that. If you just jump on board with my multi-level marketing scheme,
Yeah.
like the cadence of it is exactly, should be familiar to people who are like victims of the right-wing grift. That this says is a left-wing grift. Like we're all against, like, and then at the same time, they're like, I want America to be colorblind. And then they're saying, no, it's just the Somalis who are doing these horrible things.
Yeah.
You unlock a lot of freedom if you go like, I don't care who's doing the corruption. Let's use the court system to go after the corruption, regardless, Justice is Blind style, of the color of the skin of the person doing the fraud.
Yeah. Yeah, and that has 3.4 million views on Twitter, because that is what Twitter is for right now. And that video is what AI is for. It's not curing cancer, but it can produce videos like that. It can make a lot of videos that lead people to hate each other. And so much of it is so utterly and intentionally racist. Just, it's becoming the most normal thing on these platforms. Okay, those are our garbage people of the week. 49,000 of you voted for your garbage person of the week. It's pretty close this week, actually. Number 4, 21% of the vote went to Scott Jennings for smugly downplaying atrocities in Gaza. 22%, Stephen Miller narrowly edging him out for blaming migrants for lack of tech innovation. 25% went to Brett's boo, Kristi Noem, for wanting demolition of historical DC buildings. But your winner with 32% of the vote, Elon Musk, for publicly lusting after a teenager. Dear God, I'd forgotten about that.
Who among us? I'm glad I don't even know what that is.
It's just, he's said worse stuff, but it was pretty gross. 70,000 though voted positively for the hero of the week. 3% going to George Clooney for attacking Barry Weiss over CBS takeover. I hadn't actually seen that. That's cool. 6% to Zohran Mamdani for clapping back at Musk's attack of the fire department pick. 11% to Ro Khanna for advocating for an increase in taxes on the rich, but 80% overwhelmingly went to the Kennedy Center artists for boycotting Trump by canceling shows. But let's jump now into this. So every week we do a garbage person of the week. I do one. Generally, Brett does one, and the people do one. Sometimes we have fill-ins too. And we do that over the course of the year. But then like at the end, well, who actually like won? Like we did our garbage person of the year, but I'm curious. And so producer Mike went back over the last year and totaled it all up. And here is how it actually broke down. Here is my numbers for the people I picked the most. And I only have one member of the 5-timer club last year. That is Elon Musk. I did choose the most just for me. 3 times Donald Trump and Kristi Noem. Donald Trump was only 3 of the 50+ weeks, actually. Mike Johnson, Katie Miller, Kanye West, and Joel Webbin both got 2 choices. I would never have guessed that. Katie Miller almost had as much as Donald Trump. That's weird. And then I had a lot of one-timers. I'm not gonna go through all of it, but it's a lot of the names that you would sort of expect, some perhaps that you wouldn't. What's interesting, Brett, is you clustered around certain people a little bit more. You actually had 8 times for Donald Trump. You chose him almost 3 times as much as me. 6 times for Musk, so you even chose Musk more than I did. Ben Shapiro 4 times, and Charlie Kirk is down there at 2. I'm not surprised by that. I feel like you do a little bit more of the media criticism. What do you make of this?
Yeah, no, it's all, I want my videos to do well. And the frustrating thing is Ben Shapiro doesn't. And I feel like the videos about that are the best, but Ben Shapiro just doesn't perform. That's so sad for him more than it is for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to give myself a pat on the back for not doing any Charlie Kirk garbage ones post-mort.
Yeah.
Pretty good. My favorite people are the ones who made fun of every other dead person on the left, and then get shocked that anyone would make a thoroughly coherent, funny joke in the somewhat related with the word clouds of Charlie Kirk. Yeah, like the one I saw today that was, I have to apologize to Charlie Kirk because now I know why he wanted his wife to stay home.
Oh my God.
Like that's a good joke because it's not about him, but
no,
people,
it's not.
But yeah, no, I do the media criticism and I like the media criticism, and it's like garbage people. So if I'm not going to say, the thing is, Donald Trump is the leader because he traffics so often in the stuff that we'll cover in the first 2 blocks of the show, but also like little crappy stuff that he'll poop out incidentally, that we don't have other venues that are appropriate for attacking it in a way that is kind of relatively in the same vein as how stupid and trashy he is. And I love this segment because it allows you to say, like, this isn't going to end the world, but we all noticed this was garbage, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I like that the people you choose tend to be different than me. I'm more old school. Like, I do like doing the media criticism, but mine is I'm more like the stuff I used to watch on TYT. Like, I critique more of like the mainstream media, and you critique more of the independent media. And so I'm glad that we cover those two different bases. So really fast, Woz chose Chuck Schumer, Benjamin Netanyahu, good choices. Yaz had Lindsey Graham and Joe Wilson. Jordan Yule chose the mainstream media. Love Jordan, can't wait to play golf with him this weekend. Trey Crowder got to choose Steve Ballmer, interestingly, and Daria Rose chose Stephen Miller this year. There weren't a lot of fill-ins on Fridays, but that's what we got there. But then we wanted to see, we'll go really fast, the total votes by the community. Number one blew away number two. Donald Trump received a little bit over 1 million votes from you to be garbage person of the week, whether he won that week or not. And he
nothing better than a typo in a garbage people graphic. I genuinely mean that. I love that dot.
Oh yeah, no. Oh no, that's gonna go viral now. It's like the Learning Center thing. Anyway, so Donald Trump did win 20 times. Mike Johnson got 144,000 votes, the GOP 121. Elon Musk was only number 5. I was a bit surprised by that. And Pete Hegseth had a pretty good showing overall as well. For your hero of the week, it was a little bit more distributed. The hero tends to be like, we take what we can on a given week. But people protesting either ICE or the Trump administration won 5 times and got over 200,000 votes. Canadians won 3 times for various reasons, 140,000 votes. New York City voters, probably around Zohran Mamdani mostly, over 100,000 votes and won twice. And the Epstein survivors, just narrowly, they were number 4, 2 wins, 107,000 votes. And so we have a lot of fun choosing ours, but I also love seeing what you all care about. So thank you to everybody who takes time out of your day to vote.
And thanks for choosing that font where the D turns into the dot on the I. Oh my God, I love it.
Graphic design is our passion, Brett. Anyway, thank you. I like the graphics. I think it looks cool. I think it's like a dragon sort of theme. Anyway.
If you're bored this weekend, you can still watch ABC's The Year on Hulu and Disney Plus. I'm in that. That's fun. Hard-hitting quips about Taylor Swift's wedding. It's great.
I like it. I like it. Go watch that. Also, go watch the finale of Stranger Things. It was really good. And then we can talk about it. But anyway, thank you everybody for joining us today. I'm going to be joining the first hour of The Young Turks with Cenk Uygur later on today. So I hope to see many of you there. We're going to be doing our members content. Mostly it's about golf, but it's going to be fun. And for now, stay safe out there. Stay sane out there. We'll see you soon.